Part of the John Holland project team working on Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3, Broadbeach to Burleigh Heads. Thank you very much for coming along to this afternoon's Meet the Contractor event, and thank you to those of us joining via live stream. Today's a really great opportunity to find out a little bit more about the project itself, about some of the opportunities for local business, and also about our commitment to local industry, and crucially what happens next. Today we'll be hearing from Peter Papantanyu from TMR. He's the Project Director for Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. Peter's joined today by Deanne Hawkeswood, TMR's General Manager for Strategic Procurement. We'll also hear from GoldlinQ. GoldlinQ is contracted by the state government to manage the design, construction, operations and maintenance of the Gold Coast Light Rail system. Joining us from GoldlinQ will be Simon Thomas, GoldlinQ's Executive Director of Delivery, and also Jason Ward, GoldlinQ's Executive Director of Operations. And finally, we'll hear from the senior staff from the John Holland team. We have Russ Bainan, who is the Project Director for Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3. We've got John Bellakiyama, who is the Project Manager for Delivery. And we have John Farmer here as well, who's the Commercial Manager for the project. Before we start introducing our guests, I do have a little bit of housekeeping to attend to. Let's see if my clicker works. Yes. You all should have checked in using the Queensland check-in app on the way into the building. If you haven't done so, please do so before you actually exit the event today. Masks are not mandatory while you're up here and you're seated, but if you do get up and you're in the common areas of the Surf Life Saving Club, we do ask you to pop your mask back on. Oh. Restrooms are located downstairs. You need to kind of turn around to the right, go through the pokey room, and you'll find the restrooms located there. Please note, we are live streaming the event today. We'll only be seeing the back of your heads, but we do have a photographer in the room as well who will be taking some shots, primarily during the networking section of the event. If you'd prefer not to be photographed, please let someone in a John Holland shirt know, and we'll make sure that we don't photograph you. And finally, we will have refreshments after the event, tea, coffee, an opportunity to kind of network and meet the contracting team and also our project partners. So with no further ado, I will introduce Peter Papantanyu from TMR.
Thanks, Catherine. My role on the project is as the Project Director for Stage 3 for the Department of Transport and Main Roads. Before I start, I'd like to, on behalf of the Department, GoldlinQ and John Holland, to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, and to pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So a quick thank you to Jeremy Turner from GoldlinQ and to Russ Bainan from John Holland for the opportunity to join you here today, and with the people online to say a few words about what is a great project. This project is an iconic piece of infrastructure for the Gold Coast. With its unique design and surfboard racks, the light rail trams have become synonymous with the Gold Coast since they began operations in 2014. The GCLR journey started many years ago before that, when the city and the state government looked at the original concepts of the project, and we are here today focusing on Stage 3 and what a journey it has been. So the GCLR system provides a high frequency and reliable on-time travel service for its users, and one of the really interesting things and important things that's happened over the years is we've been able to improve accessibility on public transport on the Gold Coast for a range of different user groups. The project is unique in many ways. It was the first public transport project to be funded by all three levels of government, and in saying that, I should acknowledge the funding contributions and assistance by the Australian government and the City of Gold Coast, and of course the Queensland government, who's the project sponsor for Gold Coast Light Rail in delivering the first two stages and now Stage 3. So there has been a significant investment in public transport on the Gold Coast by all three levels of government. So Stage 1, Stage 2, you may or may not be aware, is delivered by the Queensland government in partnership with GoldlinQ, and it currently connects the heavy rail system at Helensvale to the hospital and university precinct and down to central Southport, then through the busy tourist centre of Service Paradise, and finally connects up to Broadbeach with its shopping, restaurant and entertainment precinct. So light rail has become the spine of the city's transport network, connecting people to places they want to go. And the numbers speak for themselves. More than 56 million people have hopped onto the light rail to get to work, to their place of study, to enjoy the Gold Coast beaches, and also to tourist and evening entertainment precincts. So it's proved hugely successful. It's supporting major events also, the Commonwealth Games and the annual GC Gold Coast 600 Supercar event, just to name a few. So the light rail has really changed the way people move around our city, and there's no doubt it will play a key role in shaping the growth and evolution of the Gold Coast. The delivery of Stage 3 will continue the rollout of a greater transport experience for more people on the Gold Coast, and will help the city manage its population growth and in the coming decades. Stage 3 will add connections across the southern part of the Gold Coast, Miami Beach, Nobby's Beach, Miami, Mermaid Beach should I say, and Burleigh Heads. But the success to date in delivering those first two stages has involved strong partnerships with and contributions from industry and the local business community. Today is all about continuing that strong partnership with John Holland and with GoldlinQ, but also with the local industry to deliver the project. We're excited that building on this legacy will deliver hundreds more jobs to the local Queenslanders and the local community. So in concluding this, look, I'd certainly encourage everyone here today and online to actively engage with John Holland team and the GoldlinQ team as part of this process, and to get involved in what will be a city shaping project. But before I hand over back to Sharon and the team, I'd like to introduce Deanne Hawkswood. Deanne is our General Manager, Strategic Procurement. Deanne's joined us here today to help us give you guys some information around the department's introduction of the best practice industry conditions for transport civil construction projects. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that new policy will be applying to the Gold Coast Light Rail Stage 3 project. There is information on what we call BPIC online. It has been circulated to various industry associations. And if you'd like some further information on that, Deanne will be available after the session to answer any particular questions. And I think there is some information we'll be handing out today as well. So thanks again, thanks to the GoldlinQ team and the John Holland team for the opportunity to be here. And as I said, I certainly encourage everyone to think about participating in this process. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter, for the words and background of the project, and we'll try not to repeat too much of what you said today. But so everyone, my name's Jason Ward. I'm here today representing GoldlinQ, and GoldlinQ's the operator franchisee for the Gold Coast Light Rail project. What that means, it probably doesn't mean too much to too many people in the room, but what that means is, as operator franchisee, GoldlinQ is a company that's been contracted by the state government to build and operate and maintain the light rail system for 15 years through to mid-2029. As Peter said, the system to date's been extremely well received, over 56 million passengers, and for us that's all about the performance of the system, and the performance of the system is based on the quality of delivery and the product that we get from our contractors and their suppliers and so on. So this type of event, engaging local suppliers and businesses to help deliver on that success is really important for us as GoldlinQ, because we understand the importance of having local people involved. And I can say that as a Burleigh local myself, so extremely proud to be on the project still. To date, GoldlinQ has, on behalf of the state government, managed delivery of stages 1 and 2 and now stage 3. And I'm here today with my colleague Simon Thomas, who will say a few words shortly. Simon's the GoldlinQ delivery director. who essentially has the responsibility for the daily oversight of John Holland. So Simon will be inherently engaged with John Holland and their procurement processes and their delivery throughout the delivery of the Stage 3 project. GoldlinQ's role as well, and with our board and our chairman, we have a very dedicated focus on opportunities for local workers. And that dedication and focus for local businesses and opportunities remains with Stage 3. On previous stages, our contractors for Stage 1 and 2 have delivered around 90% of our workforce, being recruited from Gold Coast and South East Queensland locals. So that's a big target for us that we hope to stretch towards, and we've got a big focus on that with John Holland as well. And in total, an estimated $900 million of investment has been injected into the Gold Coast and Queensland businesses to date. So very proud of some of those statistics that we've been able to deliver. There are some things that can't inherently be procured locally, such as 5 new trams that we've got coming for the system and some other specialised rail equipment that you just can't source locally. But our approach, as we've already been talking with John Holland, and they'll touch on a bit later I'm sure, is that if something is available locally, then it should be sourced locally if it meets John Holland's procurement requirements. Next slide. Our ongoing discussions with John Holland are all about maximising local opportunities. We know they understand the importance of the close relationship with local businesses and the local community over the next few years of construction. So thanks for that. I'll hand over to Simon to talk about a few more things around John Holland's scope.
Thanks very much, Jason. Hello everybody, I'm Simon Thomas. I'm the Delivery Director for GoldlinQ, and my role is that interface between John Holland working on the project. As you know, this light rail project has been a key economic driver for the city, and we want to continue that today, and it's a great chance to meet John Holland and talk about the project in detail and where you guys can help, and Russ and his team will go through the process about applying to work on the project. I'll shortly hand over to John Holland and the next steps, in particular through that procurement process. But I just want to give you an oversight of the project and its scope. Next slide, please. Okay, so 12 months ago, we started a competitive tender process in the market to choose our contractor, and we went through a rigorous procurement process to choose John Holland to be our preferred contractor for this project. John Holland's scope is to design and construct the project. So we've started with early works. As you see, when you drove down the Gold Coast Highway, you saw big yellow machines, and we're in that early works phase at the moment. And I just want to explain a little bit about what the early works entails. So it's detrimental that we get good early works away early, and the reason is to get investigation work done to understand what's in the ground. We're doing over 1,000 trial pits out there on that 6-kilometre track. We're looking in the ground there to find all the services and understand where they are, so that information can be fed back to our designers, John Holland's designers, and they have mobilised in Brisbane. There's a team of 50 designers working on the project as we speak. So that investigation work to identify services in the ground is critical. We're also doing geotechnical investigation as well, and then we're doing the monitoring of noise monitoring, dust monitoring, survey work, lots of survey work out there. So there's a lot of investigation work which is critical to the next phase. So the next phase is the start of construction, and the plan is early next year we move into that construction phase as well, which is really exciting. I'll talk a little bit about the scope if you don't know about the project itself. It's 6.7 kilometres of new light rail. It predominantly goes through the middle of the Gold Coast Highway, from Broadbeach there all the way to Burleigh Heads. Okay, we have 8 new stations, station precincts, and an upgrade also to the depot up in Southport at the top end near Queen Street there. There's a big upgrade going to facilitate the extra light rail vehicles that are arriving. We've also got new bus connections at Christine Avenue and Burleigh Heads here, and There's also other lot of supporting work around signal, underground services, drainage, and side street development as well, and upgrade of some of the parks. So we're doing a lot of work down in that area over the coming years as well. It's really exciting that we've got the contractor on board. We're away, we're working out on site, and this project is moving forward. And it's a collaborative approach. We all work together. We've got a great relationship with John Holland, and events like this where we can bring them here and talk about the project and get you guys involved with the project, local participants, is really important. So that's the project overview. John Holland and the team now are going to talk about in detail the project and the process. So I'm going to hand over to John Holland.
Thanks, Simon. Good stuff. Discussing the... I think that's working. John Holland as a company has been operating in Australia, for over 70 years. You can see there 1949. We operate throughout Australia, New Zealand, into Southeast Asia. I suppose we run the full gamut of construction work. The only exception to that is probably in the mining space. We don't do too much in the mining space.
You might use your big loud voice. And
I might just this is my normal voice anyway, so that's fine. We're right across a lot of linear infrastructure, all the infrastructure associated with roads, bridges, dams, and the like, all rail, including the light rail, tunnelling, commercial buildings and major projects as we've got there. I think Hollands as a company is currently turning over about $5 billion a year. We've got about 60 projects on the go with a combined value of about $14 billion. We employ about 5,300 people across the area. We have as a company, we have quite a large percentage of women in our industry, in our company. So we also try to engage and promote those sorts of things throughout the company. Just in terms of, I suppose, John Holland as a company, it's probably not trite to say, but we certainly focus on being a good corporate citizen, and certainly focus on being an employer of choice as well. So that sort of drives us in a lot of things we do. So we put a lot of focus in terms of flexibility in our workplace, women in construction, basically being an inclusive employer, and certainly in terms of being a good engaging with the community and providing some good social outcomes. So it's a very important part of our DNA as a company to be able to do those sorts of things right across the board, and that's how we will try to operate, and that also drives that interface with the community and interface with our supply chain drives us as well. So the commitments that we're making to the state and GoldlinQ in that space are ones that we sort of believe in as well. We want to get engaged with the local supply chain and get as much done as close to home as possible. So it's very important for us, and it's one of our major drivers in the way we do our business. Where's our clicker? Someone steal it. Thank you very much. I suppose in terms of just our experience in this type of job, there's a number of projects up there that are there. We've recently done the Canberra Metro light rail through Northbourne Avenue down the middle of Canberra into the city. Some of the larger jobs in Sydney, the Metro Tunnel, Sydney Metro. I've just come from Rozelle Interchange, which was basically a whole lot of spider webs and connectors underneath Rozelle in the middle of Sydney. Certainly a lot of work in our Melbourne area under level crossing removals. We've been level crossing removals for many years down there. So those interfaces between road, rail and in urban environments is something that we've done a lot of work on in the past. Some of the local projects up here in terms of, and that's sort of a gamut, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast Seaway. Some of the urban utilities works, again, while we work from $5-6 million projects per se, we also go down to some of the urban utilities work where we work in program alliances with some of the utility authorities to deliver a program of works. So that could be $100,000 jobs as well in that sort of a program alliance style of work. Also building works. There's a lot of building works on that with the traction power stations and the other areas we've got as well. I think one of the key things here is really that When I looked at those projects, we have people that have worked on all those projects. So our team has sort of been combined up out of people that have worked on a lot of those things, and we're trying to basically ensure that the experiences garnished from all those jobs can be applied to this job, and that's both good and bad. Lessons learnt is a key favourite of mine. So we're trying to bring together a team that understands how these jobs come together and make sure we deliver them in the best possible fashion. So that's sort of a potted history of John Holland and how we sort of approach. I'll just ask, I think, John to come up and run through how as a Tier 1 contractor, we try to apply ourselves. Try again.
Yeah. Is that working? Good. John Farmer, Commercial Manager for the project. Amongst other things, responsible for the procurement and obviously the tender process. I see some of you in the room are familiar with working with a Tier 1 contractor. Certainly this little segment is to better explain that to those who aren't. And certainly there is a little bit of a nuance in respect of this particular procurement model that we are introducing. And that's really to help us discharge our commitments to engage with the community and secure local content. So what is that? First bullet point there, you'll see expression of interest. Now typically that's something where the market might come to us and put their best foot forward. What we plan to do is essentially have an online portal where we will be expecting our supply chain and potential supply chain to put forward an expression of interest, and in that process we'll be asking the supply chain to complete a small questionnaire, and that questionnaire is really driven by some statements on quality, safety, environment, that enable us to assess capability and suitability to be able to work with us. In the EOI stage, there's no commercial discussion, there's no money spoken at all. It's simply an ability to us to engage with the community to get out there and really enable you guys to price for us. That enables us to effectively give everybody the best chance, right, in a full, fair and reasonable opportunity to tender for the work. To be able to do that as well, we've also given an undertaking to unbundle certain packages of work that typically would be too big for certain smaller providers to supply to us. Again, giving the best opportunity for the local participants to be involved on the job. What that does enable us to do, though, it does provide us a short list of people that we will be then asking to price for the work. There will be some disappointment at that stage, because there will be certain people who express the interest that don't have the right skill set, don't have the right capacity, or genuinely are just unsuitable to work with us. But the whole purpose of the EOI is to give everybody a fair go. What we then do is, after we have undertaken the EOI, it's probably a more familiar process that the market is used to with a Tier 1, where we send out a formal document requesting a price from the market, from the shortlisted participants. A nuance on this particular stage as well, though, to enable us to discharge our obligations under the Queensland procurement policy, we will be asking further questions, more detailed questions, more targeted questions, again about safety, quality, environment, but also seeking commitments from our supply chain in respect of the local spend that you are going to make on this project through your own supply chain. We're looking at a commitment from our supply chain in respect of training hours. We're looking at a commitment in respect of local content where your people are going to be from as well. So it's all driven around our ability to help deliver to us, right, what we've committed to the client. So after we've made our assessment, we obviously undertake interviews, we finalise commercial terms, and ultimately, in certain instances, we will need to get a proposed supplier or a subcontractor endorsed by the client. But once we've, sorted out our commercial terms, we'll enter into an agreement with the supplier or subcontractor. We've got a small point down there, which is on the previous slide, but it was obviously there are smaller items of consumables that we go to the market on. Typically, they won't be involved in this EOI MCI process. That's just a simple request to the supply chain of a quote, and then obviously probably a commercial assessment of that price that's received.
Hold the mic a bit closer to your mouth. Very hard here.
Sorry.
Thanks, mate.
Just picking on from where Simon indicated, as a Tier 1 contractor, there is a governance process we go through. Typically, the whole process from EOI through to award can take up to 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the package. And as Simon mentioned earlier, we are undertaking our detailed designs at the moment, preparing our design documentation, and the timeline that we expect to be out into the market testing this process is in the first quarter of next year. I have now hand over to John, is that correct, I believe? There you go.
How does that sound? Hey, so I'm John Holland. I'm the delivery director for John Holland. So that means I have the responsibility for construction works, which a lot of people in the room will be interested in, and also the testing and commissioning of the project at the end. So my little piece here is going to be talking a little bit more about what working with a Tier 1 contractor is. I mean, the slide's been up here for a while, you've had an opportunity to see what it is, but I'll go through that in a bit more detail now. So, kind of sounds obvious, but you need a signed contract to work with John Holland's a Tier 1 organisation, but there are instances out there where people probably do and charge. That doesn't really happen with John Holland. You need a contract in place and all agreed before you get to do work. As you would imagine, for a Tier 1 contractor, safety and looking after people and environment is very important to us. So we have 10 global mandatory requirements which we implement across the organisation, which we will flow down on the project. They're really here to protect people, they're here to protect the environment, as I said, so I'll just run through a few of them. Like working at height, that's one area that rules on that we cannot move around. Temporary works is another one, excavation, trenches, things like that we classify as temporary works, that'll be a mandatory requirement. And then things around electrical safety and environmental protection. So they will be part of the project. We'll share them with you and you will need to comply with those requirements. Labour and plant need to be onboarded. Again, we will need to see what you're bringing on. We'll need to review it, we need to look at it. We need to make sure that it complies with our requirements and it's all good to go. So that'll have to come through the process too. We'll be bringing on any plant and material that hasn't been through that. We will be using 3DS Safety, which is a system that records people's competencies and allows us to report incidents, stuff like that. May not be really here too much on the Gold Coast at the moment, but it kind of falls off of a kind of a railway one. People that do railway projects be used to this kind of stuff where you have a system that's after competencies, so that will be brought into place. Verification of competency, again, I think that should be nothing new, but basically we need to make sure that when you're on the project, your competencies are all good and you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing. So that they'll be checking and surveillance and all that. Plant inspections and maintenance, again, we will need to run through your plant, making sure that it's up to date, all the tickets are all good, all that information gets loaded onto 3DS so we're aware of where all the plant is and what its compliance state is at any time. Full PPE. Sorry, but that's what it is. You have to go long shirts and long sleeves, not negotiable. Fitness for work. This is something that we will, again, it's mandatory that we have to do. We will be doing alcohol tests, we'll be doing drug tests. We have a requirement that you are free of drug and alcohol to work on it. That's a mandatory too. So again, that's business as usual in John Holland and a Tier 1 contractor. Last couple of points: safety, environment, quality, and sustainability. Big part for John Holland. We've got a little bit more that Russ is going to talk around in actually what that means in terms of sustainability. But we've got controls in place to look after and make sure we do the right thing in those two areas. Temporary works. I think I kind of mentioned temporary works earlier on. There's a big process again internally on John Holland that you will need to be working with us to do to enable us to get our temporary works in. For as simple as putting hoardings on fences, we need to go through processes and procedures to make sure that what they do is safe. It's all about protecting people, all about protecting the workers and the public. So, in summary, significant piece of work that we need to do, but it's all for the right reasons. So if you want to do it, come and work with us, then I don't think you'll have an issue with doing any of those things, but it just helps us to make sure we do the right thing. So I hand over now to, I think, John Farmer again.
Sorry, I hope you can hear me better this time. I'll hold the mic a bit higher. We've heard a common theme, local participation. So under our agreement with GoldlinQ, we've made certain commitments, and in line with the state's procurement policy, our expectation is that you out there will enable us to meet those commitments. And quite frankly, you guys are fundamental to our success in being able to do that. There are various government policies that apply to our agreement with GoldlinQ. Primarily, we've got the Queensland Procurement Policy, or QPP, and the best practice principles that have been mentioned previously. What does that mean? In high-level terms, value for money for the taxpayer. So we don't just look at the cheapest price, the lowest price, and look, the government is looking to advance economic, environmental and social objectives for the long-term benefit of the community. The principle of QPP is obviously Queensland first. As mentioned previously, there's certain parts of the supply associated with this project that are unique and specified that cannot be, but the expectation is that we are genuinely targeting a supply chain within 50 kilometres of the project site. We're also, the economic benefits, we're looking to increase the opportunities for apprentices and trainees and secure local jobs. The QPP expects that we use environmentally accredited products as well, and on the back of that is obviously we've got sustainability obligations we need to meet, all of which we'll be looking for our supply chain to help us achieve those targets that we've set ourselves. Also, BPP looks at the spending with social enterprises, and we're looking very, very hard to see that we can engage with businesses that benefit the public and community in that space. The other, in addition to QPP, there's obviously the Queensland Indigenous Procurement Policy, or the QIPP, the Queensland Charter for Local Content, QCLC, and the Queensland Government Building and Construction Training Policy, the QIPP. So all of those, we've made commitments to our client GoldlinQ, and as I say, we're definitely looking for you guys to help us achieve those results. We have the benefit of working recently on the Gold Coast on one of our seaway projects, so whilst we have a foot on the ground on what that looks like in the area, certainly the southern part of the Gold Coast is a new area that we're looking to engage with the local industry to improve the commitment to the businesses and the community and local employment. So in principle, we will develop the awareness and interest in the project as we do. So this type of forum is designed to do that. And the number of and frequency of these forums will really be driven by the level of interest that we get from you guys out here. Certainly, we're going to get off to a good start today, but in the new year we anticipate having a more detailed forum about this process. Obviously, the expectation is that we do engage with our indicionists as we can. We've got various schemes that we put forward where we propose to increase that profile and their involvement. Again, we're looking at various collaborations with local universities if we can get graduates to get some work experience on the job and things like that. John Holland itself has spent almost 7 million nationally with certified social enterprises, so it's something within our organisation that we have specific teams set up to do, and certainly they will be helping our project team engage with the community to achieve and improve on those goals. That covers the issues in respect to our requirements and our expectations in engaging with the local industry and local employment.
Russell. Thanks, John. I'll leave that alone. In terms of one of the dot points there, previously was the sustainability aspect that we need to meet on the project. We have targets, I think 50 in the design and 50 in construction. So they're a series of elements and points that we need to manage to show that we're actually building in sustainability into the project. Now those things, in their sort of first level are probably ensuring that waste minimalisation, energy use is reduced, material use is reduced, anything that improves, the ability of us to reduce the overall resource usage on the project. But in addition to that, there's also the positive side of that we're actually enhancing the urban environment and enhancing the community we're in, and in some sense also enhancing our people. So the whole sustainability is about that reduction of resources and ensuring that we improve the overall environment we're in. So they're very key things. Now, in that, from where it touches the supply chain, we will certainly be asking that some of those issues are reported on, especially energy, resources and waste are reported on, so that we understand where we're tracking with those sorts of things. Also, in terms of apprenticeships and training and the like, they're also very important that we understand where they're going right across the board. I suppose in terms of other things there, one of the biggest benefits in one of the biggest ticks that we can get in sustainability, which again reaches out to the supply chain, is any innovation. Any innovation that the supply chain can bring and practice on the project is very important, and we'd be certainly supporting anything that comes to us that may be slightly different from business as usual, but if we can work with our supply chain and our clients to be able to improve all those necessary points as far as the sustainable outcome goes, that would be certainly something we'd be certainly influenced even in terms of our selection of local suppliers. People that can bring something to the table that really adds value, reduces the whole life costs, and provides a better way of doing things. So that's a very important touch point for the project. I think also, in terms of interactions, we'll certainly, other than the reporting, there's a positive side to that where we'd work with the supply chain to actually develop ways of them improving their own sustainability as well. So there's a bit of a two-way street there, an interface, an interaction, where we need to ensure that we're actually basically building up the level of knowledge on sustainability and how it's to be implemented in this type of project. That's also a very important aspect of how we want to provide and work through the job. I think that's me. So.
Have to project, I'm afraid. We can try.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so I'll try without the mic this time. So, work packages. I guess we're all here to understand what the scope of the work is and what the work packages are likely to be. We've spoken at a fairly high level what the project is, so just go down a little bit into the opportunities that we'll be looking to go into the market to bring out, okay? So when we talk about staff and labour opportunities, that is, we're looking for people to work for John Holland. We need people to work in engineering functions, in admin functions and support functions, so it's not just buying resources in on labour hire. We need to fill the team. But of course, on top of that, we will need supervision, come and join the team for supervision and other people like that. So opportunities exist there from a project perspective. Indigenous and social opportunities is something that John Holland takes very seriously, and we have got requirement to do things in that, and we do. We have a number of partners in that space that provide resources to us through that avenue, to help us support the project and help the diversity across the job. And it's actually part of our evaluation. You may have seen earlier on, we do a fairly detailed assessment of any tenders or proposals. Part of that is there any Indigenous or social opportunities as part of your response? So that gets a mark. Plant hire. There's going to be a huge amount of plant that we need for the job, ranging from excavators through to cranes, through to even vehicles. We'll need to provide some vehicles for the job that we'll need to come to the market to provide. So there's an opportunity to get a fair amount of plant hire in, temporary lighting, generators, all that kind of stuff you need to do for a project that's working, night and day for a few years. So there's a big opportunity there. If you go now into it's a single liner, but it's probably where the bulk of the work is. Subbies for road and rail. So what does that mean? There's huge multiple trade packages in there. We're going to have concreters, we're going to have excavation packages, we're going to have installation of water pipes, we're going to have electrical cables to run, connections to be made, lots of trades in there that we'll be going into packages on, and John talked earlier on that we may strip them down into smaller packages so that it gives more people opportunity to get a piece of it rather than put it all as one. But opportunities across the piece are certainly there. Not forgetting to mention landscaping, security, traffic management, all the kind of stuff that goes on a project like this. We'll all be coming to the market to engage on. Talking to consultants, there are requirements where it's maybe not a trade package, but it's perhaps an engineering function. Consultants we would like to go out there for environmental, for example, sustainability. We're going to have to do little pieces of work to do as we go along the project in that space where we need consultants to support us along with that. And I suppose last but not least, consumables. Who can run and live a job without consumables, without your tea, your coffee, your pens, your papers, your cleaning, all the kind of surfaces that go with running a site office and running an establishment. We need to come to the market and get that as well. So, and the message here is there's a significant spread, if you like, of opportunity to provide for John Holland. It's just working our way through it to get that to you and get ourselves going on it. And I think that's it for me, Russ. Back to you for the wrap up.
I think just in terms of a wrap up, I suppose our next steps are really to basically firm up our delivery and package procurement strategy. That needs to be informed by our design. As Simon said previously, we're doing a lot of work in the investigation side of the business and the design side to actually work out what we're actually building right across there. We know the general, but there's some nuances there and where the boundaries go to, how we have to move in and around all the surfaces that we've got to not hit as we go through the jobs. There's a lot of work in doing that. We also need then to look at how we actually are going to deliver it. John mentioned that we'll be introducing some sort of a web portal to be able to facilitate the supply chain getting in and having a look at what we're doing and being able to be that communication tool backwards and forwards. So that work will go on over the next several months, and we're looking probably prior to Christmas, we may have another one or one of these, but with more detail, so we actually have something out there that shows where we're at with packages and the like, to give a little bit more granularity of those packages. Whether we can do that before Christmas or immediately after, that's a challenge for us at the moment, depending on how much design we get done and how much investigation works. But that's the next step. We'll have a series of these sort of engagements, hopefully with more and more granularity to be able to serve the supply chain, and we'll also be able to provide sort of greater details of how we want to work on some of those other issues like sustainability and what sort of format those sort of information and reporting need to be and be given to us on. So probably wrap up there. I think we're just going to have a little bit of a networking session now, coffee and tea and the like. And I want Catherine, if you add to that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much everyone for attending. I do apologise for the microphone dramas. We had 2 microphones and they both seem to have about 10 minutes in them, so I do apologise. We will have tea and coffee. Please feel free to network, to chat to the project reps and our partners who are here today. Thank you very much for coming, and thank you for those of you who attended via live stream as well.
Yeah, again, thank you very much. It's a lovely day to be out, and hopefully the parking wasn't too difficult around the area. But again, thanks again.